Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right. Thank you, Mr. Producer. We're back, and I am joined by the one and only Miss Kim Guche. Kim, how are you today?
I'm great today. How are you doing today, Casey?
Kim's laughing at me because I came in a little bit disheveled and a little bit miscombobulated. But Kim, you're such a nice person. You were the first person to say, "It's okay, Case. Just I've had one of those days too sometimes." So you must work. You must work awesome with kids.
Yeah,
because I'm like a child.
So actually, I mean, that's the funny thing. Like I always say, like I feel like I'm 7, like all the time. I act like I'm 7. I like every time I think of, like I do something, and I feel like literally that I am more childish than all of my kids, and I think they would agree. Like, and so what you didn't see was right before you came in, discombobulated. I had the same thing happen to me. That's why
Are you
it
serious?
was so funny. Yes, it's been one of those days.
All right, so we're on the same energy there. But before we get to me and you and our miscombobulation, if that's a word, can you kind of refresh the audience a little bit about you and what you do and your business, and then we can get started with your topic today, which is going to be great.
Okay, great. So my business is Entrancing Inspirations, and I am a mindset coach, and I help people really just change their lives in a way that will help them maybe shift their focus, attain a goal that they haven't been able to attain, or get out of the way of self-sabotage or something that creates a block.
Mm-hmm. And you work with unblocking the trauma can cause a block too, correct?
Negative emotions, trauma, fears, phobias, just anything that like sometimes you don't even know what it is. You just like want to get from here to there, but you can't. You just feel stuck.
Yep.
Even like just changing like negative thoughts or perseverative feelings of hopelessness, lack of direction.
Something's missing.
Right. For children and teens, young adults, and adults. I work with all ages.
I was going to ask you about that because we've been talking about, we talk about hypnosis, and we've been talking about a lot of different things, but I don't think I ever asked you if, the range of people you work with. And I was thinking that you work awesome with kids. So you do have a service where you work with kids, but I love that you work with the parents too in corporate. Tell me about it.
So my first career, I'm a speech language pathologist. So I actually went into that profession because of my love of children. So I've worked in that profession, all ages, from infant through high school. And then from there, when I got into the mindset coaching and the hypnosis and hypnotherapy, I thought, what a great thing for kids, right? Especially because there's so much anxiety. Like it's becoming more and more prevalent at younger ages, with anxiety and depression being diagnosed in children. And of course, as we all know, the pandemic exacerbated it.
Yeah.
And I still am working as a speech language pathologist. I can't even say it. And I work with a lot of kids that are going to virtual school now because of like a bullying problem. So they've gotten out of regular school, not even because of the pandemic, just because of the, severe bullying.
Oh, because of speech?
Or it just whatever it is.
Or
I
whatever,
mean, maybe
whatever.
the area that they live in, or whatever it's, whatever their school is like. But what that does to a child, right? What that does to your self-confidence, your self-esteem, what that does to your mindset. And if you're bullied and verbally or physically abused, and school is not a safe place to be, and your nervous system is agitated and your fight or flight all day long, what that does to your mindset. And if you're a kid, what are you saying to yourself about who you are, right? Like you start
Right.
to think, what's wrong with me that I'm the kid that gets picked on?
Right. Right.
Um,
Why are they
so
saying that about me? Well, is it true? Is
right.
that a true statement? Right. I got
Yeah.
you.
So it's and then like trying to work with these kids and help them, whatever they need to focus on for their curriculum or their learning, or if they have special needs, trying to help them with that. And like they, they're, what's your main concern, right? That's not their primary focus. It's, how they feel in general, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the world, and who they are in the world. So I really feel very strongly that when you can help that first, like help a body, a human being feel better about who they are, and really you know get out from that, because it's not what they're saying in their own head when someone's been bullied, or even if they're not really great in school, or they're not really great at whatever it is they want to do. A child or teen telling themselves every day, I can't, or I'm not going to be able to, or I'm terrible at this,
Mm,
everybody else is better than me.
right.
I mean, where are you going from there?
Well,
That it's
yeah.
just creates everything more of an uphill.
Right.
So when you can change that story for somebody, and have kids think differently, and believe a different story, like the real story of who they are, that's magical to me. And that goes so far to help them in their life,
I see, Kim. I
in
see. Well, I
whatever.
see why your passion is what it is. Just the way you just explained it. I see why you're so passionate about what you do. And can I ask you something? Can I ask what you think these masks have done to kids at that age when they're as a speech pathologist, if I could say that, as a speech pathologist working with kids who have it hard enough with a mask on your face? Have we exacerbated the problem?
Oh, I could go on and on about the masks. I mean, the masks, I think, have done a lot of damage in a lot of ways. I mean, I work with a lot of kids that have autism, and not just autism, but a lot of kids do. And, um, you know, for children with autism, reading facial cues and body language is difficult enough when you can see the whole face, but when you can
Wow.
only see the eyes, that creates confusion. I think they're scary. Um, and then trying to um, learn, learn how to communicate. I work with a lot of kids who have difficult to understand speech, and you're trying to teach someone how to say sounds correctly, and you have a mask on, or the child has a mask on. It's impossible, and it doesn't
Right.
make sense.
And it's hard enough as it is at that age, and now you're gonna, you know, basically put, you can only see, you just like you said. I mean, you can't, the body language, the facial expression, not even just reading words, which we do, I guess, right? Do we do that? Like,
Well, there's
is that
so
how we
much
learn?
to yeah, I mean, there's so much to communication. It's not just the actual words. It's the energy of communication too. It's the body language, it's the eye movements, it's your facial affect, it's everything. And a lot of these kids now, the little ones even, they'll come in for speech and they're afraid to take their mask off. Like they don't even want to. And so I mean, I can't I just can't imagine. Like, I'm really glad that my kids are older now, because to me that's terrible. Like they're actually scared to take their mask off, and
Wow.
they're in a speech therapy session. So
Is
that's
that,
a lot of anxiety right there when you don't feel comfortable being in the world without your mask.
that is that I can only imagine. I know how hard it was, just being a kid, but now when you throw everything else on top of that, But my question, just to know, do we learn how to in language to make a certain sound or to form a certain consonant or something like that? Do we learn by looking at people's mouths?
Absolutely,
We do.
absolutely.
You don't have to be
Like,
blind for that. We do that as it is.
right. I mean, I mean, some kids can't, right? So like for some children, like if, if there is a visual impairment, they maybe can't, but it definitely makes it easier. Like when you can watch a speaker's face and learn how the mouth is moving to make certain sounds. In kids who don't watch, who don't look, if their head is down a lot, or, if they have a difficult time making eye contact, it's harder to learn how to say sounds, how to talk, and then also how to even respond socially with
Mhm.
appropriate facial affect that matches the situation.
Wow, it's got to be so hard these days. I mean, after 2 years of that,
Yeah,
at that age, it's got to be real difficult to get them back to what I mean. Have we regressed a couple? We had to have regressed a couple years ago. I mean, they can't be up. The kids now can't be up to where me and you were when we were their age.
that's a really good point. And like the little ones that I'm evaluating now, that are like COVID babies, or the parents are calling, pandemic,
Yeah,
they were born during the pandemic, and now they're 1 or 2 and have no words yet. Like think of what these kids missed out on. They weren't out in the world. They weren't at play groups. Um, you know, like kids were before the pandemic. They weren't out on the playground.
that's huge.
They were home alone. And so I do think that there's a lot of delayed speech and language now that has been impacted by being isolated.
Now, I'm so glad that you're working with kids. Can you take me through the process of, say, I'm a parent and I'm watching you right now, and I want to get my kid involved. Can you take me through the process? Because I know you work with both of us.
Sure. So if yeah, a child is struggling with something, let's say it is anxiety, or there's a lot of school phobia now, like the kids that were out of school don't feel comfortable going back to school. There's a lot of social anxiety that I think has increased as well through the pandemic. So if your child is struggling with, negative feelings, or social anxiety, or whatever, and the family contacts me. Of course, I work with the child, but you know, you're living in a family, right? So if there's a person in a family who's got anxiety, it's not usually just that one person,
Okay.
and as a parent, if your child is struggling with something, you're going to worry about that. I mean, you know, parents do, mothers
Right.
do. So if the child's got anxiety, probably the mom or the dad both do. Um, and so then that kind of feeds off of each other. So the child doesn't exist in a vacuum. Um, so there's probably back and forth anxiety, so I like to help, not just the child, but the whole family. And I do sessions with, depending on the age of the child and what they want. But the first session, for sure, that I have the parent or both in the session together, and we're really just doing a lot of it. That, like, the exercises are really fun, but just using your imagination, changing your focus, imagining different outcomes, and focusing on, you know, your strengths. So I guess, like, a good example of that is I have 4 kids, and my daughters are the younger two. And so I would have kids over at my house a lot, young girls, and you listen to these girls now, right? And they're smart, they're athletic, they're beautiful. But when you're driving them from one point to another and you listen to them talking to each other, you're hearing a lot of body shaming, self bashing, self judgment. Like they're talking about themselves as like, you know, like their body image, like, oh, I look terrible in this. I can't go there. I don't look good. I got, I'm too fat. I'm too this, I'm too that. And I, like, since I've been doing this work and I really tune into that and I'm listening, going, wow, these kids are amazing. And all they're focusing on is their weaknesses and what they don't have rather than how great they are, like how smart they are, how funny they are, how athletic they are, just what good friends they are. And like the focus is all wrong. So
Should we throw our
uh,
computers out the window and
social
social
media
media?
should go. Yeah, absolutely. The phone, social media. I could go on and on about that.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But it's a different time now. I mean, I didn't grow up with that stuff,
Me
but
neither.
these kids, this is what they have, and so it's not going away. So now they have
Right.
to navigate that. And so I would really like to help kids and families, um, navigate that in a much more positive way. And um, when one of my children was experiencing anxiety at probably a middle school or early high school age. The provider we went to, talked to her about, and I thought it was great. It was like very progressive, but she was talking to my daughter about learning meditation techniques and um, yoga. Like she was offering suggestions that were not medication.
That's
And,
great.
That's of course
We're not
what
going
I've
to give you a
advocated.
pill and here you go. You're a drug addict for the rest of your life. I got it.
So
I
right.
understand.
And those have negative side effects. And I was so thrilled that this provider suggested to my daughter about learning meditation. And my daughter was young. I want to say she was like eighth or ninth grade. And she kind of thought it was crazy.
She
And,
did.
she said to me after, I don't want to be one of those people. And I'm like, well, what people, one of those people that has to meditate. But, the provider, the doctor said to her, this is not like what, if you learn to meditate now, that is a skill and a strategy that is going to be invaluable over the course of your life for learning how to keep yourself calm and regulated
Mhm.
and changing your inner talk. And there's so many great things about meditation, but a lot of people don't know how. It seems unreachable. Like I hear that a lot. Like I should meditate, but I can't. So what I do is make it easy for you to, so like I'm coaching you into a meditative or a mindset focus or state. So you don't have to do it yourself. So I'm helping you to get there with a goal, to achieve the outcome that you want.
Is it harder to work with kids with meditation than adults?
No, kids are really like kids are imagining all the time, like
Uh-huh.
adults have a hard time imagining, but kids are in and imagine, they're daydreaming all the time. They're creative, they're coming up with, different ways to build with their Legos or, like creative topics or creative play. I think it's gotten maybe a lot harder now that they're on a laptop or a tablet or, they're on tech all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
but
hard. It's hard to get them to sit for 20 minutes and to concentrate on breathing. Do they take to that? Do a lot of them, do they try or do they say the initial response that your daughter had, like, I don't want to try that, but I'm sure you have a way to, to get around all that. And once they finally do sit down, uh, can they tune in pretty well?
absolutely. And the great thing about kids is that kids are daydreaming with their eyes open. They don't need, it's not like how you think of meditation, like sitting there calmly, quietly, and being perfectly still. You can do so much mindset and imaginative and focus changing with kids with their eyes open, just playing a game, right? So you can do so much with kids, and it's really very easy
Do you
because
do the guided meditation with them?
I do that also. But like for example, kids love there's a fun game that I do with kids a lot. Like let's say for example, I had a little girl that I was working with as a gymnast, and she was trying to improve self confidence, but also get over some fears with her tumbling. She was phenomenal. And when she got stuck on something, we would play a game with like colored circles on the floor, but I would ask her, like, imagine what animal, if you could be an animal, what animal has the skills that you would need to be able to improve your routine on the bars? And so of course she said a chimpanzee. And and then her floor routine, I think she picked a graceful, I think it was a graceful bird that she picked because she wanted to do her dance routine better. So we picked those three animals, and then I just had her imagine, like what, like be a monkey for a minute, like be a chimpanzee. And then it's easy for a kid to do that. Like a monkey wouldn't, or a chimpanzee flips around the trees just naturally, and it's fun for them.
Right.
They're not thinking, I can't get from this branch to that branch. They're doing it like just automatically. And so when you have a kid focus on something like that, like be that animal and embody um, the qualities that that animal has. And then just imagine it. Kids can go quiet 10 seconds and like imagine that you're the chimpanzee. Like it's so amazing to
It's
watch.
like a game. It's
It's
a
a game and it's fun and they can do it. And so you're
creative.
taking the focus off of, I can't do my bars routine,
Got it.
but I can be a monkey because
Yeah.
there's no pressure to do that. And that's fun. And so then just imagining that, like take the energy of the chimpanzee and how would you transfer that over to your bar routine?
Great technique.
It works. I mean, it works. It's easy, it's fun, and it works. And there's
They
so
probably
many
forget
great
about the
things.
frustration. They forget about it because now they're playing a game that's fun, and yet it has to do with getting over the problem that they're experiencing. That's a great technique. I assume that that's a go-to. I assume that works all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They love it. I mean, and if a kid doesn't like, I have a lot of kids that like trains more than animals. Like kids with autism like trains or a certain vehicle. Well, you could imagine that too. There's so many great things about, what about a train. A train is powerful. A train is
Mm.
fast. A train, like you're not stopping a train. Like so, you can be that train, right? Rather than feeling like you do. Um, unempowered or disempowered, imagine yourself like that train.
Wow.
And there's just a lot of ways to do it and then lock it in, lock it into your mind.
I would say that
And
would work on adults too.
it does,
It
it
would-
does. I mean, it does. Like, so a lot of the things that I do with people are not, it's not like what you imagine, like you got the pendulum or the
yeah.
watch. It's, it's fun, like it's not like going to therapy and you're crying and you're reliving the pain. And like, I know that people think that, oh, how can I change my life if I've had all these bad things happen to me? You can change it so easily, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to go, it doesn't have to be difficult or complicated or painful. It can be fun.
So when you're working with someone at that age, are you still trying to get into that subconscious? Because remember you were telling me how the subconscious is everything is stored back there, and that's our the bank. That's where everything is, right? Are you still
The
trying to get there when you work?
subconscious is driving your bus. That's what's driving the bus.
Yes, or the train.
Yeah, but anything you do, your imagination is your subconscious. So anything that you do imaginatively, get it into your imagination, you're out of your conscious mind. So, like you played sports, right? So just think of it as an athlete, right? Just think of it, whatever your sport is. y- As soon as you get down on yourself, where are you going from
Oh
there?
no,
You
that's
know,
not a good thing. Yeah, that's bad.
Right. I mean, if you're a baseball player or something where it's all the focus is on you as an individual player, uh, and you're at bat,
Yeah,
if you're in your head in a bad way,
that's called a slump.
right. And the slump is just going to get bigger the more you
Right,
focus on, I can't.
100%. You're 100% right, and that's how it
And so
works.
you
Yeah.
think about, like great coaches motivate kids and their team to a different level using their imagination and focusing on what you want and being that player, that athlete in your mind with, like seeing yourself do that skill the way you want to do it.
Mhm.
Golfing is a perfect one,
That's another one
like
you get in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can do so much with golf. I use my own like self hypnosis for golf. I mean, I'm not a great golfer, but I use it just like visual, like because you can easily get off your game. It's not hard to get mad and
The more
frustrated
you
when you're
think
golfing.
about the tiny little things, the more like you have to get out of your head, right?
Right.
As the saying is, because the more you think about it, then that's where the slump keeps going, or that slice keeps going. I understand as an athlete, so you're speaking my language. I understand what you're saying.
Right. And if you tell yourself, if you can recover, if you make a mistake on the field or make a mistake at whatever your sport is, gymnast, tumbling, whatever it is, if you make a mistake, you have to put it behind you and you got to focus forward. There's no way out. You can't focus backwards.
Right.
So you got to know how to quick in a split second, change your whole state.
Yeah.
You can't get down, you
Yeah.
got to let it go and just
It's hard. It's
put a smile on your face and go forward. That's the only way out.
Yeah, it's going to do nothing. Thinking about fumbling the last play, that's going to do nothing for the next one. But Miss Producer's yelling at me. Kim Guche, what a great topic. What a great show. You did such a great job today. Maybe we can talk about this more next time, whatever you want to talk about. But you did a great job today. But let me give you the last word here. You remember, as my grandmother used to say to me when she wanted to hear from me, my opinion or anything, she'd say, Case, you have the floor. So Kim, you have the floor. And then don't forget to tell us how to get a hold of you. Great show today. Thank you.
It went by so fast. This was fun.
And I'm sorry that I didn't get to all those people. There's a lot of people over there, but I didn't get to them. I will keep them. Sorry. You have the floor, Kim.
Crack me up. Okay, so my website is entrancinginspirations.com. You can email me at entrancinginspirations@gmail.com or text or call 585-708-9923.
All right, guys, that's the one and only Miss Kim Guche on the Kim Guche Show. Can't wait to hear what you have to say next, and I will speak to you soon. We'll be right back, guys. Stay right there.
Okay, thanks.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.